Welcome back to Tecmo 101. Mort here, getting you ready for the Tecmo Players Championship this April and every April in Chicago. Right now, I'm going to go over the Dallas Cowboys and some matchups. We're supposed to be doing Dallas versus Denver, and I have it set up for Dallas versus Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter. Let me change that helmet to Pittsburgh. But we're going to get into all these, both of those matchups, as well as the matchup versus I think Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Well, anyways, your best weapon on the Cowboys is this guy here, Emmitt Smith. Only 56 MS, and the thing to keep in mind about the Dallas Cowboys this year was this is like the first or second year for a lot of the great names that came later on the Dallas Cowboys. So guys like Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin aren't rated as good as you might think. I think they got Jay Novacek right. He has a solid rating. Emmitt Smith they got right, but they're not as overwhelming as the Super Bowl winning teams they would have 2 years down the road. And for a lot of times, that in tournaments, people have overestimated, if they don't know any better, and put in Dallas against some really good teams. You don't want to put Dallas against their division rivals like the Giants or Eagles. Instead, a great matchup for Dallas, and I think one of the most even matchups in Tecmo is Dallas versus Denver. And we're going to talk about that first because we're going up against a team with a fast quarterback without a lot of pass control, a lot of pass speed, a 63 MS running back, some better receivers than what you have on the boys. Not a good offensive line, very bad offensive line here. On defense, Mecklenburg's okay. Simon Fletcher's a beast. You can't run certain plays against him. Wyman Henderson is probably one of the worst defensive backs in Tecmo. He's a liability, but it's harder for Dallas to exploit it. Braxton isn't much better. Steve Atwater was rated good for what he did, was hit guys, but he doesn't have any interception ability. And Dennis Smith, their best defensive back, can move around but hardly any interceptions. Now, the Cowboys, back to the team we're talking about, Troy Aikman, 44 pass control. Just an average quarterback in this game. 56 MS is very good for this game, though. And Michael Irvin, 44 maximum speed, 50 receptions. He's very average. Kelvin Martin's okay. Jay Novacek, a lot of people like to put him the receiver. He's got a similar rating to Irvin with better receptions. They have a much better offensive line, but still some holes in it. As you saw, it's a 38 hitting power center. On defense, it's an average defense that has speed, especially like Eugene Lockhart. Jimmy Jones is okay. A lot of guys with speed, like Matty Hendricks, 63 MS, but he only has 44 interceptions. Another guy here, 56 with 50 interceptions. A 44 guy with 50. Everybody has at least 50. There's two guys with 50 interceptions and a guy with 44. So the Cowboys, they're going to be able to contain a lot of running plays because they're fast and they're all over the field, but they're not going to pick the ball off a lot. And that's to a lot of people in games, that's been a drawback. So that's why that makes this matchup easy, kind of fair, because Elway with that 31 pass control, he can get away with a few things against the Cowboys, but he won't get away with everything because those are still some pretty big numbers he's going against. The next Dallas matchup, and I personally love this matchup too, one of my favorite, is Dallas versus Pittsburgh. Believe it or not, a lot of people would consider Pittsburgh the better team in this matchup. I do, because the Pittsburgh defense can just dominate. But they do got a 38 MS QB you can take advantage of. They don't have much in the skill positions at all. They don't have a guy above 38 MS, and a receiver is as low as 31. They have a better offensive line than a lot of teams, but a couple holes. This defense, though, is amazing. It's going to be hard to pass on them with Troy Aikman. Not impossible, because 44 to 63 isn't an automatic JJINT, but it is a problem. These guys can catch the ball. They can shut down your passing game. But the nice thing is, if you can run the ball of Dallas against Pittsburgh, and then you can contain their bad offense and hope you don't have any turnovers, the game turns out to be very even. Our last Dallas matchup is against Tampa Bay. And the main reason is I call this matchup is to say, okay, Wayne Haddix, He's the best secondary player in Tecmo Super Bowl. But this defense here, as you can see, has hardly anything else, and there's nothing in the front seven. You can run the ball all over them, run it at Wayne Haddix, and then just be careful passing the game. On defense, you just got to find a way to contain Vinny Testaverde, Gary Anderson, and Mark Carrier. And one of the worst offensive lines in Tecmo, too, so sometimes they can't set up the running game too good. So this is another matchup I like to call. This is kind of like you'll be the Cowboys, and you're going to run the ball at Wayne Haddix. And then if you can be really careful on with Troy Aikman and his throwing, you could really set up some nice drives against this team and score a lot of points on them. Then you just have to hope that somehow if you can figure out a way to contain the Tampa Bay offense one or two times, and defense, and in Tecmo, especially when you're playing on console and tournaments, defense eventually prevails. So don't underestimate having a better defensive plan going into the game and just being able to run the ball and be conservative, because it wins Tecmo. Anyways, thanks guys for watching the videos. I'm going to have more of these coming up very soon for you. Thanks again for checking out the Tecmo 101 channel. Hope to see you guys up here in Chicago or some of the other upcoming Tecmo tournaments.